Peter, you've sort of went into the pandemic as the chief executive of Liverpool.
Correct.
You're hopefully coming out of the pandemic in your new role, SVP at Unity.
Correct.
So let's start with Unity. Where are you and Unity at in terms of your post-pandemic recovery process?
So as we sit here today, Unity, about 5,000 employees, actually more than that if we add contractors. So a huge, diverse workforce spread across 46 offices around the globe and just about every continent. So in answer to that question, it varies from country to country. We are getting in fact, in the last couple of days, we've had a crisis management team that has been permanently on this, trying to figure out which offices and how you go back to the office and what the office looks like and how often you go to the office. All of the variables now that need to be managed by a large company like ourselves, as well as to manage the expectations of a workforce whose views on what a working environment has changed in the last nearly 2 years now. Mm-hmm. But we're getting very close in the great majority of our offices to come on in, what we call a yellow stage, if you will, an amber stage. The office environments have all been changed to provide more room. What I think you're seeing from us and what you'll see from just about any company is less dedicated workstations, more what we call hot desks, mm-hmm. appointment. I need to be in a particular office this day. You don't have an office there, but you have a place to plug in your laptop, sit in a comfortable environment. Lots of collaboration spaces, like we're in right now, if you will, to sit and talk, mm-hmm. socially distanced maybe, but sit and talk collaboratively rather than heads down in a laptop in an office, because you can do that as we've learned at home. Mm-hmm. And so I think what we will encourage is collaboration, cooperation amongst teams. Unity is probably not too different to a lot of companies. You've got so many different groups and divisions that are codependent on each other. And we are a company that feels like getting back to the office and coming to the office is the right thing to do for a number of reasons.
Mm-hmm. And how did the pandemic hit the business, the business of the business, not necessarily the workforce, but, the actual nuts and bolts of what you do?
We continue to grow at a 40% clip. And so I think that we're riding a wave of content generation. As the video I showed, our CEO, John Riccatello, finishes by saying, we think the world is a better place with more creators in it. So we believe as a company, there's about 2 billion people that are creators. And, anything from editing their Instagram stories to look interesting and funny or emotional, all the way up to the world's greatest movie producers who also at times can use Unity, and every step in between. Mm-hmm. So I think, our business continues to flourish, continues to grow. And as we enter this world of the metaverse, it will continue on that clip. People want tools to bring their content to life in innovative ways, and real-time 3D mm-hmm. is coming.
I guess this question is wrapped up in kind of recovery from the pandemic, but also general growth of the business. Can you point to any particular milestones in the last, 18 months, any particular big breakthrough coming out of this pandemic?
Well, I was, and I referred to this in my presentation as well, read with interest, McKinsey had done an incredibly deep dive on how companies have changed. Things like this, the old adage, never waste a good crisis, right? And so this has been more than a crisis, but it has taught us to do things in ways that I don't think we would have accelerated into this had there been no pandemic. We're all used to Zoom meetings or Microsoft Team meetings or Google Meet meetings. We're all getting used to the fact, and if I can refer to my days at Liverpool when the lockdown happened, a lot of the cadence of my business week was getting on EasyJet or Ryanair and going to Munich or Vienna or whatever to attend meetings, whether it was FIFA, UEFA, European Clubs Association, coming down here to London for Premier League meetings. And of course, on top of that, traveling with the team for whatever matches. We very quickly, all of those entities learned how to use technology in an innovative way. And I found that I could do, from the comfort of my own home in Liverpool at that time, I could do an ECA meeting that normally I would have to go to Geneva or Vienna or whatever. I could certainly do a Premier League meeting, which were every week during this period as we were getting through this crisis and figuring out Project Restart and how we were going to get football back up and running. And then maybe attend a virtual meeting with FIFA executives in Zurich, all from my own home in Liverpool. And those 3 meetings alone would have taken me 3 or 4 days to fly from point A to point B, hole up in a hotel. I think that we've all learned that yes, it's still great to have the physical interaction, but that we can maybe be even more productive on top of that with technical interaction through videos, through communication. I've learned since I arrived at Unity to use Slack, and and it just is an ever-flowing river of communication and opinions and everything that comes with that. But we're never going back. We are never going back. McKinsey said that this is a 7-year acceleration over an 18-month period. And even the most traditional and stoic of companies have learned, because they've been forced to learn, of how to digitize their business, how to virtualize their interactions, and how to change the environment to suit the new employee, this new world employee that has come through these 18 months with a different perspective than they went into.
The pandemic, obviously, a really difficult and often tragic time for so many people all over the world. But for you, I guess you've been on quite a personal journey throughout that period as well. You left a job, probably the job of your dreams that you loved, chief executive of Liverpool. A few months into the pandemic, as you said, talks were ongoing about how, just how we're going to bring sport back, and you left in the middle of those. You uprooted your kind of life, moved away from your home city, back to your other home city, back in California. You got yourself a new job, a whole new way of thinking. I mean, that's a lot. And, all under the kind of fog of the pandemic and all the kind of restrictions that are in place all over the world. What were the kind of moments of light? I mean, it must have been a stressful time, but what were the moments of light amongst the darkness?
Well, I think you've got to go back to, I'm in my 10th year at Electronic Arts. I love the video game industry. I'm the chief operating officer, embarking upon this new phase of esports, competitive gaming, and still part of the C-suite, but doing very interesting stuff that, again, is the future of interactive entertainment. And I get this call from a recruiter in London saying, would you ever consider moving back to the UK? And I go, no. I'm primarily, I'm an American citizen. Yes, I'm a Scouser, but I'm a California boy. And I'm very self-aware of what my outlook on life is. And I thought, no. And then, a little bit of a pause. What if it's to be the CEO of Liverpool Football Club? Well, that then, there may only be one job in the world that would then go, let me consider that. Then innumerable number of conversations with American ownerships about what this is going to take, because it's a big undertaking. Even though I am from Liverpool, to move, my wife primarily, leave. We have 6 children between us, all adults, but for the most part, and just up en route, taking one of them with us out of a California high school and putting them into a British public school with shirt and tie and everything. Very brave of Brody to do that at Birkenhead School, and get a taste of British school life. But it sounds simple just to up and leave, and one of the most complicated and stressful times of my life was selling everything, moving to Liverpool, buying everything afresh, a home. And then we knew that eventually we needed to get back. I had a 3-year contract that was extended because of COVID. There are so many games, so many experiences, so many people that I got to meet, despite all of the stress, and it is a stressful environment, that these are priceless memories, that if I'd have stayed at EA, life would have been easier maybe, but I will never ever trade for Barcelona that night at Anfield. You think of those, just talking to somebody here at Leaders from Qatar, and remembering going there and becoming FIFA Club World Champions in Doha, being with Jurgen Klopp and enjoying his company, his leadership, his incredible persona and gravitas. Flying around Europe, as I said, going to FIFA meetings, going to ECA meetings, UEFA meetings. Very fortunate that 2 Champions League finals, you know. But most of all for me, it's being part of my city again in Liverpool, interacting with my people, if you will. And whilst I was there, I did a TED Talk. I was asked to do a TED Talk about what we're talking about, our journey. And I thought, who wants to know about my journey? But I've seen enough TED Talks to know you need a theme, you need the hook. Mm-hmm. And the hook was the power of Scouseness. Mm-hmm. And it's about being born and bred somewhere, what attributes that gives you. Liverpudlian's unique, as you know, and you know, despite, you know, traveling the world, I've always called upon my Liverpudlianness, whether that's your bigger personality than most people, your sometimes misplaced sense of self-confidence, as we Liverpudlians have, your warmth, your storytelling, all the things that Scousers have. I've leveraged and parlayed that into my career. No matter what I was doing, where I was always aware of my personality being a classic Liverpool personality, and that has served me so well in my career to get me to where we're sat here today, and to allow me to have just made the presentation that I did on stage. Mm-hmm.
Chief executives of top-level football clubs, they're few and far between, obviously. It's a very rare position to be able to have. It doesn't always end well, it doesn't often end well for people in those positions. And I guess you're one of the very few people who managed to go out on a real high, mm-hmm. you know. And when you go back to Liverpool now, you know, I'm sure you're welcomed back with open arms, which, you know.
There are times when I wouldn't have been, but to your point, yes, as I exited with I thought at the right time, and the 3 seasons we had, no credit to me, credit to the players, credit to Jurgen Klopp. You're right, CEOs is a lot. And there were times, I look at times when we'd had a tough game, you just don't go out. You learn, you do not go out to a restaurant, do not go out and be seen, because it's still raw and you will catch the heat. And you know, there's been a couple of occasions during my tenure there where I was in a bad spot on a street, and you know, and I will remember those couple of occasions, and you know, but take those 2 occasions and the 10,000 occasions when somebody will come up to you as you're walking down the street and say, thank you for everything you do. And if there was one thing, as I was leaving Liverpool and we were getting ready to fly back to California, the number of people that came to me, and all I cared about was that I had made the fans feel closer to the club. And that's exactly what they said I did. I engaged with them. I'm a Scouser leading their team. I understand what Liverpool's about. First few weeks we got there, my wife and I realized that, you know, we've done well in life. We formed our own charitable foundation. We started giving back. We, you know, bought vehicles for food banks and all of the things that I owe the city of Liverpool for my career. And those people that had come before me and come after me as Liverpudlians, and as a Liverpudlian that's done well, I have an obligation to give back to them. And we continue to do that. This past weekend, my wife and I cut the ribbon on the Peter and Debbie Moore Community Centre in a tough part of Liverpool. We funded the building of a community centre. So I think that if you've done well in life and you can point to why, and that the people who have helped you get up that ladder along the way, you absolutely have an obligation to give back.
Back to the present and to Unity, and to what's ahead of you, I guess, as we go into 2022.
Yeah.
What are you, point to a couple of things, a couple of moments that you're looking forward to about the future with the company?
Yeah, I mean, the company as a whole is an incredibly, it's in the sweet spot of where the world is going. And you look at companies, and you go back, it's so easy to go back and look 10 years ago and, oh, wish we'd invested in Apple stock, you know, 10 years ago. But you look at companies that are positioned uniquely on this rising tide, and this metaverse that we all talk about now, this always connected environment, everything that is tied to that. The world is going to go 3D. We're going to be looking at 3D imagery. This stadium will have a digital twin. Every room will be scanned so that everybody knows where everything is. And you can interact with this room in unique ways. Unity is the company of all companies that are out there right now poised to be able to drive that and, bluntly, from a business point of view, take advantage of that. And so I'm excited at the broader world of Unity being a part of that, and sitting in meetings and strategy meetings about, how we continue to fuel and grow as a company. Now, as I say, we're nearly 5,000 people. And this is a company that had humble roots as a mobile game engine. And driving then the same thing. This is where it grew as phones got smarter and more powerful, and their screens got better. Unity was right in the middle of that. And stat I led off with is 71% of the top 1,000 games on mobile phones last year are powered by Unity. So I'm excited about this future of Unity as a whole. And then in my world of sports and live entertainment, I really think that those are the two biggest platforms that have got the most chance to drive this adoption of the metaverse. There's no bigger platforms than sports and entertainment. And the virtualization of live entertainment, something that my team over there is working on. Today we're here and the next few days talking about sports, but equally exciting is the virtualization of the entertainment experience, live music concerts, working with major promoters, venues, to not only have 20,000 people fortunate enough to buy a ticket for an artist, but the 2 million people that wish they could see that artist. We always use the Foo Fighters because I'm a huge Foo Fighters, but I know darn well that they could sell 2 million tickets of a certain level. And that's the type of experiences we at Unity are looking to power. Goes back to your original question, James, how's the world changed? And I think that, as technology connected, bandwidth increases, computing power increases, reliance on our devices more and more, and willingness to have experienced things through tablets in a way we never did before. Music concerts are, I think, relatively low-hanging fruit to get away from a somewhat archaic and analog business model. Is you've got to have a ticket to go experience this. Oh, and by the way, we're not guaranteeing you're going to have a great experience because you may be in row Z at the back and you can't see the artist, and you're going to end up watching on a big screen anyway. How do we bring that to millions of people? How can millions of people interact with Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters in an innovative and different way? How do we give 2 million people a front row seat? Because you can. And so that is the stuff that and everything we showed today with Unity Metacast is the stuff that I'm excited about. As I enter, I can squint and see my 67th birthday. It's motivating and empowering for me as an individual to constantly work with great, talented, smart young people, and that just keep me going all day and every day.
Well, I'm squinting as well, Peter, and I can just about see your birthday as well. So happy birthday to you. And Peter Moore, thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure. Thank you, James.